Want to welcome everybody here to the February 11th, 2025 Graham City Council meeting. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to attend the city's business, and hopefully we'll be able to go through the agenda pretty quickly tonight. I'd like to ask everybody to please bow their heads. And Bobby, would you like to give the prayer?
Wait a minute.
Oh, we have someone. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Pastor,
Stephen Boone, Guiding Light Church. Thank you so much, Mr. Boone. You'll please tell us a little bit about your church first.
Guiding Light Church has been in this community for 55 years, well, now going on 56, on 1027 Jeffrey Street here in the Graham community. And we're a small church, but we are, well, I won't say small church, but we're a church that plans on serving and impacting this community this year, winning souls for Jesus Christ.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
No problem.
Please bow your heads.
Father, most gracious and merciful Father, we thank you for allowing us to assemble here tonight, not just to talk about business, but to talk about business that'll bring forth unity for the progression of our community. Father God, most of us in here holds Graham at heart. But Lord God, as we make decisions on tonight, going forward for the rest of the year, we ask that your hand be upon it. We ask that you bring forth unity. We ask that even in situations where there's disagreement, we find solutions to come together and make things work, because we want to live in harmony and unity amongst our brothers and sisters. Father, most importantly, touch each and every city council member and every officer in this community and touch them in a special way. And Father, we ask for continued blessings. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
thank you.
Thank you so much for being here tonight. If you'll please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now I'd like to recognize Joseph Grazioni. Is that correct? North Carolina League of Municipalities, Graham Police Department. He's going to discuss Graham Police Department risk assessment results.
Thank you, ma'am. I'd like to thank the mayor and the board for their time tonight in recognizing their police department. My name is Joe Graziano. I'm the senior public safety risk management consultant for the league. What that means is basically I work with all of our police departments across the state. So I'm very fortunate to be in this position. For those of you that aren't aware what the risk review is, it's a comprehensive agency review of over 40 high liability areas to ensure the agency adheres to best practices and industry standards. Some areas include police pursuits, use of force, employment practices, training, and much more. Now, steps in the process include an in-depth policy review with proofs of compliance, on-site agency assessment that includes equipment and facility inspections, officer interviews, and observations. I'm proud to report tonight that the Graham Police Department has completed this process again for the second time. And to kind of put this into perspective, at the league, we represent over 300 police departments, plus or minus a few come and go. Over 200 have pledged to complete this, and only 90 have achieved this goal. So to say that Graham has completed it twice on top of maintaining their CALEA status speaks a lot to the chief and her staff. They prioritized this initiative. They were wonderful to work with. They were very open and transparent. I would like to thank them for their willingness to participate in this important process. The agency has shown dedication to its community by adhering to best practices and enhancing professional policing. Chief. So the North Carolina League of Municipalities recognizes the City of Graham Police Department for completing the law enforcement risk management review and proactively serving the community in a professional manner while taking steps to minimize risks to your citizens and officers.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
One more?
Mhm. And moving on to the consent agenda, A, to approve January 14th, 2025 city council meeting and closed session minutes. B, to approve a resolution authorizing the conveyance of a 2009 Honda motorcycle, a 2010 Ford Chevy Impala, a 2011 Ford Crown Victoria, and a 2011 Ford Crown Victoria to Alamance Community College pursuant to General Statutes 168-274. C, to approve a request for the 5th Annual Esperanza Hispanic Heritage Festival on Sunday, September 28th, 2025, and the closure of the 100 block of West Elm Street and the parking lot located next to the Roasted Coffee Depot from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. D, to approve a resolution appointing Assistant City Manager Aaron Holland as the City of Graham's Finance Officer to comply with the Local Government Budget and Fiscal Control Act. E, to accept the donation of a custom kitchen table for the Graham Fire Department at an estimated value of $10,000. F, to approve the mid-year report and tax releases in the amount of $35.15. Is there anyone here tonight that'd like to speak on any of these consent agenda items? Is there anyone from the council that has questions or would like to?
I'd like to see a picture of a $10,000 table.
Yeah, really.
It actually is quite
Yeah,
beautiful.
we'll be glad to, I wasn't sure if it made the packet, but I'll be glad to share a picture of the table. It's an extremely nice table that
That's
I
what
can't
it
even
seems
like
imagine
it.
the number of hours it took to make.
And Megan, could you explain a little bit about the donation to ACC?
Sure, this is fairly routine for the city. In August of 2023, I think we had 3 or 4 vehicles that the city council approved going to ACC. They first use them for their BLET program. Then once they're sufficiently used, they go to the body shop at the program where those folks get an opportunity to work on these vehicles. Some here recently went from the body shop to the fire program. There was a picture today the police department shared where it was being used for part of their training, and then they dispose of them. So in addition to the years of service those vehicles get with Graham, they also get to extend their life by a significant amount of time with ACC for training opportunities.
Okay, anything you'd like to say, Chief? Okay,
The donation of vehicles to the BLET program supports drivers training for law enforcement officers that are seeking certification with the state. It's a very important part of policing, having adequate driver's training, and that's what those vehicles are used for. It reduces the wear and tear on the city of Graham's current fleet by being able to have available vehicles to drive during the driver's training portion of in-service training on the driver's track.
and are we able to get some of those recruits from BLET? Okay.
Mhm.
All right, so I have a consent agenda has been read. If I can get a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda?
Madam Mayor, make a motion that we approve this consent agenda.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Public hearing on the rezoning of 6.27 acres off Ivy Road and East Gilbert Street. Recognize Assistant City Manager and now Finance Officer,
Hey,
Aaron Holland. I believe that was going to be tabled. Is that correct?
very simply said, the applicant reached out to staff, requested that the item be tabled until the April meeting. I told them that I would gladly pass that along. They're trying to work in some of the changes that was discussed during the prior meeting.
Okay. I need a motion and a second to table the rezoning to April 8th City Council meeting.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we rezone the 4.7 acres off Ivy Road and yes, we table, sorry, off Ivy Road and East Gilbert Street till, was it April 8th?
April 8th, yes.
A second or motion?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. the rezoning of 0.1 acre on Chase Street. This also, I do believe, has been withdrawn and doesn't need to be rezoned. Is that correct? Okay, that's completely off the agenda. Old business
Can-
road,
I'm
We
sorry,
need to
can we
make a
also get a motion and a second to withdraw?
yes.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to withdraw the rezoning request.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Old business, road closure for Graham Recreation and Parks, downtown Graham Slice of Summer. City Council will consider approving road closures for the Graham Rec Department program Slice of Summer in downtown Graham. City Council will consider the following two options: June 28th, 2025, from 4 to 8 p.m. That would actually start a road blockage on all all four intersections coming into the court square from 2:30 to 9 p.m. And then, or the other alternate would be Saturday, June the 28th, from 3 to 7, blocking West Elm Street and all 100 blocks of the downtown. Is there another alternate, which is where the old location was?
So the first location is around Court Square, and so the 100 blocks of East and West Elm Street and North and South Main Street as it had historically been up until last year. Option 2 is the 100 blocks and 200 blocks of West Elm Street and the 100 blocks of North and South Maple Street. So those are two different
Okay,
locations.
okay,
That
that-
was the location from last year. And as you mentioned, in the location around Court Square would be 4 to 8. And the location at the intersection of Maple Street and West Elm Street would be 3 to 7. Also want to note that parking spaces in each of those requests would begin being blocked at 8 a.m., but just a limited amount of spaces to allow our water department to begin running hoses for the rides at an adequate time, which allows us to push back the street closure time a little bit later by doing that.
And Mayor Talley and council, as you'll recall, this item was tabled from last month. Recreation is prepared to move in whichever direction city council desires. They would just seeking direction on the location so they can plan and move forward and notify whichever businesses are affected of such.
Thanks so much for
Thank
being
you.
here. So there's somebody here that would like to speak on this issue tonight. Hi, how are you, Daniel?
James Alves, 101 North Maple Street. I love what the park does for these events, but it kills my business. Last year I had a band book. Luckily, I got a second location I got to move it to. But when I book bands and they can't get to me, I can't play.
Yeah, I
So-
do want to say that I remember that meeting very specifically, and I said repeatedly, like, so are they still going to be able to get to Daniel Alvis's business and also the what's the
C&Z.
C&Z Grill as well? And I was reassured by our staff that that would happen. So I'm sorry if that was a misunderstanding of some sorts, but we try to work with businesses to make sure that the events are coordinated in such a way that it doesn't hurt any business, because we understand this is your livelihood. So one of the things that I know has gotten brought up to me since our last council meeting is if there was a way to be able to, whatever's in the Maple Street area be moved to the parking lot beside, is it possible to move it beside Roasted Coffee Depot and leave Maple Street open? Because then would you care if West Elm was closed?
No, Elm Street doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
It's just getting in and out of my front door.
Just Maple Street, right? Okay, all right. So thank you so much for
Thank y'all.
being here. I appreciate that. Yes.
So Brittany representing Sandy and Company, and I've got Amy representing the main line. And just to kind of quick recap, last year we came to the council meetings and we expressed that a lot of the businesses on Main Street, including our businesses, it does hurt business when people aren't able to get to our stores. And so we proposed a couple different options last summer. We said, do you mind moving it to a different street? Could you move it to a park? Could you do Sunday? That was actually brought up. And so we eventually reached a compromise with Parks and Rec where it would be moved off of Main Street. So it did still, make some closures, which I do apologize if it ended up impeding some other businesses. But it did seem to be a pretty good compromise where the kids still got to come out. There's a lot more shade on that side, which is what I heard from several parents. And our businesses got to stay open, have regular staffing. We have to have extra staff if an event like that happens because there's so many people coming in. You don't know if there's going to be shoplifters, any kids messing with things. I love kids, but I don't always love them in a boutique. So it was, it's one of those things where some of the businesses, like the family-friendly ones, really did well with the event, but there's also boutiques in different places where our usual customers and clients weren't able to come out. For example, I know Johnsy over at the Florist mentioned that when it's on Main Street, she can't do deliveries. So that's just one of several. Or Griffin mentioned, he can't be loading and unloading furniture or selling furniture at that rate. So it just was it impedes the regular business. And if it were on a Sunday or moved over, that we'd be willing to compromise on that. But having it on a Saturday, that's one of our busiest days of the year for most of us downtown, or busiest days of the week, excuse me. And so that really hurts business when we're not able to open and reach our usual clientele. And as much as I love kids and families, that's not necessarily clientele for everyone. I do think it would be nice if if we do the event on Elm Street, if they could do some kind of cross marketing where it still is able to help businesses like Sutton's and Skids, if they could say, oh, go, eat down on Main Street.
Wayfinders.
Yeah,
Wayfinders
something
so that
like signs.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I do think there's a way that it could be on Elm Street or on a Sunday where it could still benefit the businesses who want to be benefited without hurting the ones who have been hurt.
Mhm.
And I'll let you add to that.
I agree, and I took the time and I watched I usually watch the meetings from the previous months, and several things were brought up as far as businesses wanting it on Main Street. And as far as I know, there's no documentation on that. So me and Cheryl took it upon ourselves to create a survey. And we went around and we spent about 10 to 15 minutes with each business and listening to them with an open mind to hear what they had to say. And out of 24 businesses, one business said that they wanted it on Main Street and one business was neutral. The rest said that no street should be shut down. And again, that's hearsay. I did not put that in the survey, but most businesses said no streets in the business district should be shut down. There was a lot of communication going on. And I think that's one thing that's lacking when these events happen is that no one's actually coming in to truly listen to the business. We're getting information, but we're not really communicating as to what our thoughts are.
Who were some of the people that you spoke with?
We spoke with Harvard 64, Press, of course, me, Sandy, Gay Latour, Skids 2, Charm Salon, Court Square Florist, CNZ Grill, which I actually loved having it on Main Street because on Elm Street because they did so well. Little Blessings, Green and McClure, Griffin agrees it shouldn't be shut down. Sutton's felt that Main Street did better for him. Little Oblivion is for the common good, what's going to help everyone. Hi-Fi, he was neutral. He didn't have an opinion either way. Graham Barbershop.
That's
McCrae Barbershop. We do have a square miler that commented on it. She works in the business. The Verdict, Little Brother, Passion Grill over yonder, the Broom Closet, Graham Soda Shop, and the commissary. And the only business that truly wanted it on Main Street was Sutton's. And Hi-Fi was neutral. Yeah, so it was good to talk with everyone and hear what everyone had to say. A lot of the business owners that have children agreed that it did do better on Elm Street. Everyone felt bad that it took away from Maple Street Tavern, but I believe we can find a common ground here. And this is what we have discovered. You're more than welcome to look at it.
Okay.
We can pass it around. And I think it's good to truly get a survey of what each business thinks when we're having these proposals. Yeah. Can I also ask how many of you on the board are retail business owners besides Jennifer? None. Okay. Yeah, it's a retail business really depends on a lot of things. It depends on foot traffic. It depends on economics. It depends on the weather. And whenever you shut down a retail business that depends on its foot traffic, and most of my foot traffic is people coming in from out of town. I get very few customers that come in and say, I saw you because I was at an event that you're at. I would also like to add that many of these businesses commented on how well they did on the events that we had the last year that was orchestrated by Sandy and Co., where
So-
we were able to keep the streets open. And everyone could still park, and we thought of the local businesses, and we didn't bring in merchants that were taking away from the businesses that wouldn't compete with those who are paying rent here and paying tax dollars here. Those were things that were all considered, and many businesses commented on how well that was and how they enjoyed it and broke records. Some broke records on those days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all.
So I'll just say that, Marissa from The Verdict had, sent me a message that she wanted the council she couldn't be here tonight, I guess, because she's working, but I'll just read what her comments are. I just wanted to give my input on the circle being closed. We sat here our first year for almost 3 hours without a single customer. I assume because they have to walk so far. After that, we closed that day. On the following years, I signed Cheryl's petition, keeping it on Maple Street again. Because they're on the corner there, she wanted to state that The Verdict has the best of both worlds, but, even if it's on Elm Street, people can still get to her, and the circles, if the circle's open, she can still do business for anybody that wants to park there, or anybody that has, I guess, handicap needs and things like that. So I don't know. I feel like there maybe is a solution and a compromise here that, is it possible? And I guess I'd have to ask Rec, is it possible to confine it and leave Maple Street open so that it doesn't hurt Daniel's business, but it does help C&Z Grill, and it does help anybody that's on, I guess, I've never heard a complaint from anybody on Elm Street, on West Elm Street, when it's there. I guess I just think, sometimes people go all week. That's what I heard from one business owner. She said, I go all week, just barely making it. I'm sure you can guess who this is, but just barely making it. And I really depend on my Saturdays. And she said, it's just really upsetting when I don't do anything on Saturday because the roads are blocked. And, it's hard to respond to that because the rec department, the city, nobody is trying to do anything to hurt anybody's business. But we have to be careful in the things that we plan, that they are both fun for the community, but also at the same time not hurting the businesses. And the city financially depends on the businesses. You know, a large majority of our budget comes from sales tax. So the more the businesses make, the more, the larger the revenue that comes in for our budget that we don't have to tax residents at. So it's very important to take into consideration, this is a business district, it's not a park. I've said that before in the past. Is there a way that we can find a compromise to use West Elm Street, keep Maple Street open, and have a wonderful event and everybody's happy? That's my end goal, is to hopefully, Emma says that's impossible, but to get everybody happy, but, you know, maybe, I don't know.
And another option is Sunday. You know, if you did Sunday, and if you did want to keep in mind those few businesses that are open on North Main Street, you would still have these 3 spokes. And I think the businesses that are open on Sunday usually close, what, 2 or 3?
Yes,
and
and it's already been run by us as well as Vicky from Press, and all of us would be, those of us who are open on Sunday, with the exception, I don't think we've spoken to Brandy from Sutton's, but we would personally be okay with it being on a Sunday if that's okay with Parks and Rec. And I do think it would be easier for them as well to get people out of those parking spaces, because there's not a lot of people in town on Sunday. So it's not like on a Saturday where you're fighting people to get out of those spaces. I know that wasn't an idea that they loved that last year. So I would be okay having it on Elm Street, but I also don't want to do that if it's going to impede other businesses. You know, if there's not a way to do it where we're all happy, maybe Sunday is kind of, would hurt less of us essentially, because we're all either closed or we close early. And there's a lot more parking available. Even if there was a whole event on the street on a Sunday, we still have parking lots that are almost empty on Sunday, whereas on Saturday, they're all packed. So it wouldn't be quite as intrusive as long as you kind of leave space open in front of Press, so there's no one, you know, dining outside and there's wet kids running by. But I think there's a lot more space to work with on a Sunday, if that's something that anybody wants to entertain.
Right, right. And again, a lot of the parents that we spoke with that own businesses say they have no problem with it being on Sunday. They're out of school, you know, it's a normal fun day, you know, it's no big deal for them. And there was something else I was gonna say and I can't remember. I left my notes, but
Maybe it would still be finished early enough to go.
yeah,
I think
that's
that's
it.
what we were,
That's
because I
it,
know
yep.
one thing that was brought up last year about Sunday, you know, most people do go to church, which I fully respect. I think we should on Sunday. But most likely people wouldn't get to the event until after church, and it is marketed as a family-friendly event. So personally, I don't see why you couldn't still, you know, go to church, come have lunch in town. And if there's any business like Sutton's or Skids who wants to be open on a Sunday, they absolutely can, and they can make extra money that day without hurting businesses that are, you know, businesses that would be hurt on a Saturday.
Mhm.
What are y'all's hours on Saturdays?
So for my business, we're open 10 to 5.
Mhm.
And what's
And-
yours?
It varies, so I'm typically there from 10 to 3 is what it says on my door, but I'm not a business that's gonna close when the streets are full or when I have customers in my stores. So I've been there at times from 5, 6, 7 on Saturdays. Yeah, so it just varies. And during the holidays and busier times, I am
And are
open.
you guys open on Sundays?
I am. Mhm.
We are as well,
Okay.
but we close earlier.
Right, correct. Mhm.
I mean, it's a big deal from,
Because we're only talking 4 to 8 PM.
no, it's from 8 a.m.
Correct.
Some spaces will be blocked at 8.
30,
Is that
roughly 30
correct?
spaces.
Some spaces will be blocked, but not the street, right? Am I correct?
Correct.
Randy, am I right?
Oh, do you want to, sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
can
hogging
I-
the
can I
microphone.
jump in?
Come on in, Renee.
So I'm Renee, 64 Harvard. My business is not on Main Street or Maple, but it's in between on Hardin Street. And so to your point of like, it's only a day, it's only a couple hours. I, on one Saturday, will make $2,000 and the next Saturday make 0. So when I looked at my sales for the past 2 years during the slice of summer, I made $0.
So one day is a big deal.
Yeah.
And
That could
it,
be
I'm
double rent.
open, yeah, I'm open from 10 to 5. I have an art business, so it being like water around, people aren't gonna bring in art to frame or anything like that. So it is a hindrance. I know that that is kind of a special case for me, but to answer your question on like, what is that impact? It's a big impact. So,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
similarly for us at Sandy's, a lot of our brides on a Saturday come there as soon as we open at 10 o'clock. And then we tend to get busy again right before we close. It's kind of hard to guess. But typically when that street is closed, even if they're not officially closing it until later in the day, it does impede traffic the entire day. And I know it's, different businesses are open different hours, but it definitely impacts us being open. And it's not just us. I mean, we've spoken to all the people on the team. So
And-
it's not just 4 to 8. The impact is the whole day. And it
Mhm.
does matter too, because throughout the year, we have many other days where the street is either closed, for a couple hours for a parade, or it might be closed all day for something else, closed for pumpkin bash, different things. So we have no problem with that most of the time. We just want to take back one Saturday, because that Saturday could be, the biggest day that we have in June sometimes. Like June can be a tough month, so we certainly don't want to give up a day where we could make revenue.
Mhm. And in response to the spaces being closed and not the street, a lot of our customers don't want to park in the free lots. They want to park in front of us or close to us. They don't want to walk. So those 30 spaces are significant, very significant. And I'd also like to add, we didn't do this writing. All of these are signed by the business owners. So this isn't something that we just wrote down, what we heard from people. And then some businesses even had a suggestion of moving it to a different location, like a park or the civic center or somewhere like that. I mean, there's a lot of great information out there, and I agree, Madam Mayor, that we can find a compromise.
I know last month it was brought up that the slice of summer, is beneficial to the businesses because of exposure. And this is, while some of the events, yes, that's the case. This is not one of those events.
Yeah, correct.
I have given out so many gift certificates, stuff like that. I have not really ever been reached out to participate in some way. It's not like we're being incorporated into the event, so there's really no way for someone to know that we are there or to patronize with us. You're going to a place where you're gonna get wet. You're probably not gonna go shopping. So that exposure point doesn't really fit with this, but it would probably be great exposure for your parks.
Mhm.
And we've got some really great big parks that should, in theory, be able to handle something like this. I mean, a water event in a park just makes sense. And it would meet that exposure tick that you.
Or even a children's museum, or some kind of, or you mentioned the civic center.
Mhm.
I guess I don't really like to hear businesses say that they're gonna close and, Marissa said she's gonna close
Yeah.
if it's blocks of streets, and I mean, I would guess that she probably does around $5,000 to $6,000 on a Saturday. I don't know. My feeling is that to find a compromise to allow Maple Street to be open, to combine it to West Elm Street, including the parking lot. Maybe we could even get the county to, if the rec department thought they needed more space, we could expand it into maybe the Register of Deeds parking lot. I'm sure I could probably get approval from the county for that, but, I don't know. Are you agreeable to a compromise?
I'm agreeable to a compromise. And, have y'all looked at other locations? I mean, there's reasons you guys can't do it in the parks, correct?
So yeah, we
Water.
discussed last year with the parks,
Yep.
while in theory, it would be wonderful and great. The parks aren't really set up for drainage for that amount of water that comes through.
Okay.
There's not the amount of fire hydrants of the extent that it is downtown. It would be a different event if it were at a park. But also when you do it at the park, those type of attractions are gonna need a flat space, like a street or a parking lot. So then at a park that's already very, very, very limited in parking, to use that for attractions, we would then not have parking at the park for participants to come. So the park is, for this type of event, is just not a realistic option. If we were to move it to the park, it would be a completely different event, or not this event at all, if it were not able to be in the street. We, last year, as far as being on West Elm Street and Maple Street, we did block, a little more than halfway down North Maple Street to allow access to the back of McClure Furniture so they could do deliveries during the day. Also, the church parking lot there, the Presbyterian church, because you never know when there might be a funeral, unfortunately, and we cannot block their church parking lot just because we're having an event if they have a funeral come up during the week. So we strategically did leave that whole stretch of road open for that last year to allow access to back parking, for the downtown businesses, as well as the church parking lot if needed. We were advised that, yes, we could leave all of North Maple Street open. However, it's not going to be open for traffic to come in and out of parking because you would have to have a turnaround. And if the street at that intersection is closed, they can only go in the church parking lot at that point. So it's not necessarily a super safe idea to have people coming down a street to an intersection that's closed with nowhere to turn around. Again, if they were going into the church parking lot, as we left it open for usage of the church that weekend, just in case
We
they
could
could.
leave Maple open and not like have the fire truck blocking Elm Street, right? So that no one could get onto Elm Street. And you could stop at C and Z, or you could stop at Maple Street Tavern, and you could continue down Maple and just have Elm Street blocked
So are you talking about just 100 block of
Yeah.
West Elm Street?
and the parking lot.
We also utilized the parking lot last year, and we utilized the 100 block of West Elm Street, that parking lot beside Roasted Coffee Depot, and the back of that parking lot, as well as space in front of Maple Street Tavern, as well as space down the 200 block of West Elm Street, and then about half of the 100 block of South Maple Street up into the access that would be needed by the sheriff's department to get to their offices and the jail. So we did utilize all that space last year. Again, I can plan the event in the space that is approved. It might change the nature of the event, by reducing the space or the location. But, you know, whatever council wishes and their preferences of what is approved, I will be able to work within that space. It just might change the scope of the event a little bit, and
I will say,
be notified to businesses what we're up to. And
I went there last year and I didn't hear a single kid complain. They had a great time.
they typically don't when they come out to our
They
events.
had
The kids have a great
fantastic
time. Most of the time they have a really good time unless they have to wait in line too long. That's always our biggest complaint, whether it's Slice of Summer or Pumpkin Bash, the lines to get on the attractions. That they want
It's
more.
free.
It's free and they want more is what the participants want. So yeah, like I said, there are areas that we can compromise in. I just want council to understand that it could change the scope of in which the event looks like. And, you know, I think Graham can pride itself on that we do have very unique events that we host in our downtown. You don't see an event like Slice of Summer in Burlington or Mebane. Same with Pumpkin Bash. It's a whole different concept with a lot of the events that we plan downtown. We do try to bring unique events to Graham that set us apart from our neighboring cities in Alamance County, but as well as those in the counties surrounding us as well. So I think with the options that we have proposed, we've done our best to limit the impact it would have on the businesses. Again, the 30 spaces mentioned in option 1. Several of those are down South Main Street on the side of the street where not many businesses are open on Saturday. Some are up to like just 2 Suttons on North Main Street, the corner in front of the corner bar that morning. So again, those spaces were also strategically picked to try not to impede the businesses that are operating in the morning when those 30 spaces in all 4 blocks would be closed at 8 a.m. Same with option 2, the 20 spaces on West Elm Street and a couple on North and South Main Street to run those hoses, again, being strategically picked to hopefully not impede on businesses as little as we can. So, you know, those are the 2 options that we were asked to bring back to you guys after last month's meeting. If there are other options to be explored, I would encourage you to be very specific with what we need to explore, because it is February and June is going to be here very, very soon. And it was March or so last year before these street closures were approved, and it makes it really hard to secure our vendor by waiting till that amount of time.
How many years have we been doing Slice of Summer?
I've been here for almost 5 years, and it was started before I came, Brandy. 6? At least 6 years, if not 7. There was the COVID year we skipped.
Right.
But this will be my 5th year here, and it had started before I came.
Could I ask you to explore the area that encompasses West Elm Street from the courthouse to Maple, the public parking around the museum and such, then going down South Maple to Pine, and looking at the parking lot that used to be the election office, and the parking lot behind all the law offices.
So the law offices, we would obviously have to get permission because
Right.
it is a private lot. They are mostly closed on Saturdays.
Right.
Again, we left part of that street open for the sheriff's office to be able to get to that parking lot in the front of that building.
If you stopped at the intersection of Pine and Maple.
Right.
They can still turn left and then go through the parking lot on the back side of I guess it's the attorney's office now, to get to the sheriff's department.
Yeah, there's other ways in. I was just saying trying to lessen the impact for everyone. That is
Right.
what we did last year. It could be explored. I've said it to many people. I'm not a huge fan of having a lot of people in front of the jail in
Right.
bathing suits.
Well, they wouldn't go down that far. It's just beyond that parking lot right there at the corner of Pine and Maple.
We can look at it, and I would also want to talk with our police and fire departments to explore kind of how the traffic pattern would look with it being set up that way. And traffic control with Public Works
Right.
as well would need to be discussed.
We've
But
done
we
it.
can definitely explore it that way.
We had the pork cook-off. That's the roads we closed. We closed it. The Elm and Maple down past the sheriff's department. And it worked out well. We couldn't use the parking lot at the sheriff's department but
Yeah.
we were able to close the street in front of them.
Well, my feeling is that we need to nail this down in this meeting because, like she said, so they can secure their vendors and whatnot. We're never going to please everyone. We moved it last year for what, one or two businesses that complained. And, you know, then we had other issues that popped up from moving it. But I think we need to make a decision tonight so that.
I think the majority of the businesses don't want it on Main Street.
I don't
and-
agree with that. I don't think that's true.
Well, they talked to the.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just telling you that some of the ones I talked to said differently than what is on that paper.
Well,
Okay. Well, you know, we're only talking about a couple of hours, you know? Again, you can, hey, I didn't interrupt you. Please don't interrupt me,
Okay.
okay?
I'll wait.
Let me speak. I'm just saying, you know, you keep saying, well, just move it to this day or move it to that, move it to Sunday. Well, then why don't you keep your business open later on a Sunday? I mean, you could do that. That's an option that you can make up your time on a Sunday, right?
So for most of our businesses, Saturday is when a lot of people come into town. I have people from Chapel Hill, from Greensboro, all over that come in on a Saturday. The whole town is busy on a Saturday. That is a day to make money. Some of us make money on a Sunday, some of us don't.
It's one
Um,
day.
On a Saturday, we could make 1,000, we could make 5,000. That's our rent, that's my upcoming wedding. Like, that's a huge chunk of money. A lot of the businesses, as Mayor Talley mentioned earlier, some of them don't make money most of the week until the out-of-towners come in on the weekends and spend money. So I know you're saying it's one day, but we've given up one day every year for at least 6 years. And that's not including any other date that we give up or any other closure, which there's quite a few. We're just asking for one day back. And also, it might benefit Parks and Rec on a Sunday because they could use a huge amount of space. On a Saturday, you're really stepping on everyone's toes. I know you said you can't make everyone happy. You're making a lot of people unhappy on a Saturday. And that's all I'm going to say because I'm probably getting too fired up, but that's how I feel. And that's how all these other businesses feel that we have gotten information from. I don't see anyone here supporting option one other than you. I don't see any business owners here supporting that. So I don't know where the information's coming from and I don't trust it.
Well, you did say that only one person said they wanted to move it back and only one person said they wanted it the other way.
One was neutral.
So you're saying there's all these people, but I'm just telling you what you told us. Sure, yeah.
I'd like to find a compromise to see, like, maybe we could propose to have a street closure from, I don't know what block that is, Bobby, that you're suggesting from, what is that,
it's from,
that's the
Pine.
100 block of
Yeah.
Maple, right?
yeah.
The 100 block of Maple, the
Up to.
the 100 block of West Elm Street, and leave open Maple Street,
North.
north in front of Maple Street Tavern
And see, yeah.
and C&Z Grill. And, do it on Saturday, June the 28th from 3 to 7 PM.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just have a quick question. So can we look at option two, and since Daniel is here, would be like the best person to ask about that. If we looked at option two and still technically blocked those streets, which would include the 100 block of North Maple, again, it makes me nervous to leave that block open for traffic when the others are closed. But if we were able to not plan to have attractions on that street, so if there were a band coming in to perform that evening, that usually starts around 8 or 9, would you be able to work with us on that? So that way bands could still get in. It would keep a very similar layout and theme to what we were able to pull off last year.
And you're just saying move the time up?
The time is 3 to 7, and if I don't have any attractions on that street, I could get his band in while the event is going on. We just wouldn't leave it open to through traffic. The same way we did last year where we had it blocked about halfway down so that Griffin could run deliveries from the back of his business.
Somebody else complained to me that they were having an event at that place by the 6 to 1, what was that called? The wedding venue. Yeah, they said they were having an event there and they couldn't get down that street. But you said it was open.
I mean, the Grand Mill is on Hardin Street.
No, but they have some sort of arrangement with the church and they said that they were,
Well, the church parking, that road was blocked to through traffic, and that church parking lot was not open to the public during the event because it was closed.
okay, I'm just saying, the time to find that out when you have a wedding is not the day of the event.
We do our best.
That's
I'm gonna
like
say we
very
do our best.
frustrating, I think, for this person, because they were like, why didn't anybody tell me? And I guess they're not part of the email list.
I
that
don't have
goes-
the email list.
Yeah, but I'm just, can we make an effort to make sure, because, I mean, Daniel, I tell you, last year, and I know this rec department goes out of their way to try to make sure that everybody knows. But can we please make sure that the people that are doing the weddings know, and will they be able to have guests park in the church? Or no?
They might be able to get into now that the
As long as there's not
community center's open.
something already, like I said, that if that's their agreement with the church and there is not, the reason we didn't put anything in that lot is, like I said, if there is a funeral, we cannot control when someone has to have a funeral. So we did not, like, that was the parking lot I could have used to put attractions in. But obviously I'm not going to put something there and then end up having to move it. So if we leave that open and they don't use it, as long as it is okay from public safety perspective to have guests from that wedding venue coming in to park, that will be up to our officers that are manning that area to monitor. Because I will purposely not put anything on North Maple, so that also will limit pedestrians in that
Well, can you
area.
just contact the owner of the mill and just see, because maybe she won't have one this year. Maybe she won't have, I mean, yeah,
September's a very busy month for weddings. I bet there might be one in
for
September.
June.
Or I'm sorry, June. I don't know why I thought September. June is also busy, but yeah, I can reach out to them and,
Well, just, I feel.
try to
like, you know,
contact them.
it'd
I've
be
been trying
for
to
us
get,
to try to coordinate, what that was. So,
yeah, absolutely.
yes. Yes, Daniel.
What about Elm Street from Maple to the old spring house and get with the county and use the courthouses are closed?
I think there's residences between there. Is there residences? Like private houses in that stretch? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Oh.
I would have to look at it
That
'cause
might be something to consider for next year, Daniel.
to expand, further down that way, but
Right.
yeah,
But everybody seems to be fine with
Option
with
two.
option 2 because the time's moved up. Is that right, Daniel?
That works better for me, yes.
Okay, all right. So I'll make a motion that we approved a road closure for Saturday, June 28th, event 3 to 7 PM, block designated parking spaces. Those where hoses need to be run for the attractions from hydrants, roughly 20 spaces, beginning at 8 AM. And completely close the 100 and 200 block of West Elm Street and 100 block of North and South Maple Street from 1:30 to 8 PM, no rain date. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank y'all for being here tonight. We appreciate y'all very much. Everybody does appreciate y'all coming out and voicing your First Amendment right to, what your feelings are about things. I'm going to move on to new business. We have Alamance Arts Collaborative Art Partnership. The City Council will receive a report from the Executive Director, Ms. Tammy Cobb of Alamance Arts. Hi, how are you, Tammy?
Hi, how are you, Mayor Talley and council? Hope you're doing well after that. Can everybody take a breath? I felt like we needed just a moment or either some nice music or something to just kind of change gears because as we were listening. I actually was jotting some notes down because it's amazing with the conversations that have already happened tonight, how many times Alamance Arts is connected to the events that happen in Graham. Esperanza was mentioned, Slice of Summer, Pumpkin Bash, until this year, the Christmas tree lighting. And of course, Alamance Arts is the nonprofit arts council for Alamance County. We do quite a few things in the community, and tonight I just wanted to share a few things with you that may need some consideration. I think you probably all are aware that we had the life and art of Charles Schultz recently. It was 10 weeks for any of you that didn't see my cover letter. And over that, we had 16 states represented as visitors. We had over 70 North Carolina zip codes represented. And this was a huge shift from what we typically see. This was a national exhibit, and it brought in over 40% additional foot traffic, percentage of people coming through our door. So we had over 8,000 people come through. And that's not all because we don't have January's numbers yet. So we're anticipating about 12,000 people, close to that, coming through your next door neighbor in our building. And of course, you own that building, and I want to recognize that and thank you for allowing us to lease the facility. But I will tell you, once you start putting bodies in it, you really do feel a sense of how small it is once you do that. It was a definite opportunity for us to partner with multiple groups in the community. It also gave us a chance to have some local business support. We had a lot of people come from Graham and Burlington, Elon and Mebane as well. But the external foot traffic, which I want to speak more specifically to around tourism, just opened our eyes completely. The arts have a significant opportunity throughout this county to open more tourism. And as you just heard some business folks speaking, having people come in town on the weekends, having them stay overnight. We don't have the data from Placer AI yet, but we know of families who came in who stayed 2 and 3 nights to be at this event and do other things in this area. So it's very encouraging. I look forward to getting that data and sharing it. But I just want to make sure you know that this exhibit really gave us a new opportunity to think about the arts more broadly across the county, but also specifically in Graham and what that looks like. So I sent you pretty much a 3-part request. First, while going through the master plan, I'm sure y'all read this every weekend. This in 2019 is the City of Graham's master plan, and throughout it speaks to the arts. One specific page I want you to refer to is page 92 when you have a chance. And basically it lists funding, and Alamance Arts is specifically named as a critical part of implementing projects. And New Leaf Society, Alamance Burlington School System are the 3 partnerships that are noted. Yet, when I came in a couple of years ago as director, realized we have no formal partnership. We have a lease that allows us to be in that house. And while we do cover expenses for the house, we actually don't have a partnership as it could be. There is so much we are doing with Graham activities, but we don't have anything that puts a commitment forward stated that we are the designated arts agency for Graham. I want to mention that because I think that is of high value. It opens up the door for additional funding. It opens up the door for the rest of the community to see that there's an interdependence on the arts and Graham, and that we do have a relationship that is worthwhile and worth investing in. So I want to mention that as part of my request. Secondly, you all should have received a few months ago a letter from Heidi York. We were reduced by 50% of our county allocation of occupancy tax dollars. And as I'm aware, municipalities are now receiving those monies for things such as encouraging tourism and addressing other needs. I'm not saying that's the only thing. But what it has done for us is really strained our budget. That's $37,000 we can't use and don't have to do the things what we've been doing for free in this community and others. Actually, tonight, John Robinson, our treasurer from our board, is here, and I will give him an opportunity if he has any comments to make, but that's a lot of our budget. Folks have said, why don't you just get more donors? Donations are down. Why don't you get more grants? Grants are very specific now, and businesses are looking very specifically to fund certain kinds of things. So you have to fit and check a lot of the boxes to even have access to those. But if Graham were to designate us as the arts partner for the city of Graham, it would help open doors for things we could specifically do in Graham. The third piece is a little broader, and you kind of have to step out a little bit of Graham to say, what could we do if we had a cross-county opportunity for the arts to be highlighted? I just mentioned the data from the Schultz exhibit, but that is one location operating over here next door to you. What if we had things simultaneously going on through the county and we're able to package that for visitors to come into the community so they can go different places, have different experiences, and experience the arts more fully? And in partnerships, we can do that. When we really sit down and we talk about what those opportunities are, we want to be able to say this community can come together through the arts. The arts are non-political. They don't have a party. We have some parties that support them more than others politically, but as an area and a field that affects our human daily lives, we really have no place to think about politics. So I'm coming to you with a request for those things to be considered. I want to just remind you, under the master plan, page 10, the themes Graham residents want. The third theme is to support small business and the arts in downtown. That's themes that came out of your work to produce this master plan. 92, Alamance Arts, one of the 3 partners that are listed, yet we do not have an official designation for that. Alleyways are talked about, public art, green spaces, alternative furnishings that are artistic. So a lot of people have put time and thought into the importance of the arts in Graham, and we would like to see a stronger partnership that enhances all of the arts, not just the nonprofit Alamance Arts, but we want to be able to support other art organizations, individual artists, public art, and cater that to what Graham would like to have. We can do that through additional funding, and we can do that through partnership. John, do you have any comments? Okay. So do I have any questions from you?
What specifically is your ask?
3 things. First is to designate us as the Graham City Arts Organization So a designated partnership, something more than what we currently have.
But you are the Alamance County.
We are, but we are also asking for funds to be considered to come from Graham specifically, which we have not received in the past.
Does Burlington contribute to that?
We have not gone to Burlington yet, but I have been to the town of Elon. The town, city of Mebane also has the request. Your third. City of Burlington has been giving us money for many years. They give us $10,000 a year. We participate specifically in the Carousel Festival with them. And other events that are smaller events, but Carousel Festival is our primary connection with them. We also received $10,000 from City of Mebane as a budget line item for our involvement with them. We have a facility at the MAC that we keep exhibits going.
But do you have a partnership with those other municipalities?
Yeah, so with Mebane, everybody kind of has it in their hands right now. Because we specifically had it with Alamance County government, and that was based on the funding that we were receiving. Now we're going to each of the municipalities and asking for specific designation.
So you
So-
receive funding from
So
the county?
they changed the
Yes.
way that the occupancy tax came. It used to all go to the county. And so they got their funding from the county. Now it goes to, some goes to the county, right? And
The,
then-
the county occupancy tax remained unchanged. They didn't have any sort of reduction in funding on the county side. There was just an additional 3% that was added for the 4 municipalities. So the county occupancy tax remained the same.
So why did they cut their funding in half?
I can't answer that.
Okay.
Yeah, I gave you what I have, and basically in that letter, it is from Heidi York stating that we were being reduced in half because we reside in the Graham municipality. The other organization that had the same letter was the African American Cultural Arts Organization. They reside physically in Burlington. They were cut in half and basically told, go to the city of Burlington.
Okay. So your second ask is, you said designate a partnership. What's your second ask? You said you had 3.
Yes, so the second thing is to actually consider occupancy tax dollars to go towards Alamance Arts to help make up this deficit and also give us a stronger language when we make application for grants. So in the future, we could make an application specifically with the city of Graham. And that application would not affect any of the other municipalities. So it opens doors for funding. So the last thing is then to consider, secondly, that piece, which I'm not asking a dollar amount, but we have been cut $37,000. Considering that we're bringing in the tourism that we know we can and are, the third thing is to think about the possibility of participating in something county-wide in the future.
So, I had gone to you guys, I think last year, about the idea of arts around the square,
Mhm.
and partnering, with that. And that was, I mean, genuinely like not to be something that would, I felt like it would be a revenue generator for you guys. What is the reason that you, because it seems like you're here asking kind of to do those sort of things.
Well, not necessarily. We want to be more in the tourism aspect where we're packaging the things that are going on in communities. You've got a great recreation and parks folks. They've got great activities. What if we package that with other things going on in the community? We have an exhibit people could go to. They could go to Slice of Summer. Maybe Mebane has an event, Folk Singers, the same weekend. We're talking about looking at advocacy, funding to other art organizations and being able to more package a tourism opportunity bigger than any one of the municipalities.
Okay.
So, Arts Around the Square, I don't mind telling you, we did not have artist support. We went to artists that work with us and have been in this community, and our local people were not interested in festivals. And that's where it came to. We also knew that we did not have the capital to be able to pull it off and guarantee a
We
return.
weren't asking for any capital. We were just asking for you to, I think, jury the craft, the artisans basically that were applying.
Well, it's difficult when you put aside the other things that you're working on. We have commitments that we had already made for exhibits to artists. Those things we have laid out sometimes a year in advance. And we didn't feel in the short amount of time it would reach our financial goals that we had to have. And y'all probably also know we have to do our own fundraising as well. So we spend a lot of time fundraising. And it's really a matter of where can we get the greatest impact? And it wasn't going to be for any one festival.
Yeah, I guess it just didn't make sense to me because they used to do Arts Around the Square with no funding from the city, and the city put in a budget of like $50,000 and had gotten another 10,000 for advertising. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense that you wouldn't want to benefit from that because it also helps the arts, and it's all about, it's literally
Yeah.
an event geared towards artists.
I guess the only other thing I can add to that is really just that I don't know how well it's known, but in those last years of Arts Around the Square, Alamance Arts took financial hits. They came out behind, thousands of dollars behind. And we are not in a position to be able to afford that. Things have changed since COVID. Our artists in this community.
I don't know what their budget was, but I doubt that it was, I don't think they didn't have any income from the city at all. So,
I
a
can-
$50,000 budget, I don't think there's any possibility that the Arts Council would have lost on that deal, on that partnership.
I can just tell you what I have seen, and I wasn't here at that time, but even if they had benefited, my board was not in support of taking on a festival for us to be a part of. We have a different thought process for how we move all of the arts forward, and it isn't exclusive to one city or one festival.
Mayor Talley, if I may, the Arts Around the Square discussion and the potential collaboration with Alamance Arts has been going on for a number of years. So we can trace it back to the fall of 2023. Alamance Arts committed to surveying their roster of artists to determine if local artists are interested in, 1, a new outdoor festival, 2, if it would be a 1 or 2 day festival, 3, what the ideal time of year would be for that new festival. And this comes from our recreation department. If the survey was completed, the results have not been shared with Graham Rec. Alamance Arts also indicated no capacity or desire to assist in the development or planning of a new arts-based festival, which seems to mirror what she's indicating again tonight. Alamance Arts did indicate that the city is welcome to find contacts for Alamance Arts affiliate groups on their website. So I guess that was what they were at the time willing to offer. Back in the fall of 23, as you know, the city council approved $50,000 to host the event in May of 25. So, close to 2 years later.
So what is your feeling going forward is that, I guess, what the rec department was trying to do, and you said you're not doing the tree lighting ceremony thing?
We didn't this year because we had to host an event that was paid for at our facility. We had a renter and it was guaranteed income. And we did not have the resources to be a part of tree lighting. Again, we feel like what has happened is financially, we have had to pay more attention, and we can't, while it sounds like a nice thing to add the arts to something, if it's going to be Alamance Arts, we have to make that as a strategic decision. And we had the decision to make, which I made, was that we would support the rental that we have, which was guaranteed income. When you consider what it would cost us, we just did not have capacity. So there's not like we have an abundance of people volunteering. There's been times and places where I think when the Carousel Festival was done and Alamance Arts was a part of it, there was an abundance of volunteers, a lot of community support behind it. Yet it was still a lot of work, and it took us away from part of our mission. It got us too focused. We're now trying to be all encompassing of this county and working through municipalities to be able to work with everyone in the way that best fits. But that does not mean doing the festival for a city. It means
I don't know
finding
why you keep
resources.
saying that. No one's asked you to do a festival for.
Well, I'm saying you're not asking that here. We
Yeah.
have to make decisions based on all of the arts in the county, not just Alamance Arts. So if there are
But you
artists,
can only benefit financially from that arrangement. That's what was just strange to me. I just couldn't wrap my mind around why.
you're welcome to talk to prior board members. That's all I can tell you. They told
So-
me.
So can you, if your ask is for some additional financial support, right now, Megan, can you run down what we provide right now?
Yeah, so we don't provide a direct allocation to Alamance Arts. They lease the space for $1 a year, obviously the property right next to us.
How much?
I'm not commercial landlord. I would be reckless to even throw a number out there on what that would be worth. I would certainly more than $1 a year would be my guess. And that's a safe bet. In recent years, Tammy came to the city and asked if we as the city could begin taking on different lawn maintenance. I think they previously had 3 different contracts, if I recall correctly, that they had chosen throughout the years to implement for like flower beds, lawn maintenance, maybe irrigation and things like that. So she asked if we could take that on. It was in our lease agreement that we would provide that. Under previous leadership, they elected to go a different route. So the city has taken that back on within the last 3 years, probably a little bit less. The first year, we didn't have flowers for it because, as you know, we grow our own flowers in the greenhouse. So they had to purchase them. We put them in. And since then, we've been planting and propagating plants for them ever since, and take care of all the exterior and lawn maintenance. For this fiscal year, we allocated $25,000 for painting the exterior. I believe she has submitted a request for the upcoming fiscal year for some interior painting. I think the year before that, or maybe 2 years before that, time gets away from me, we did some bathroom flooring replacement that actually wasn't budgeted at the time, but we were able to accommodate a mid-year request. So as far as direct funds, 0. Lease for $1. We've taken on the lawn maintenance, which was in our lease agreement to do. And for this fiscal year, allocated $25,000 for capital of painting the exterior of the building.
And if I can just continue to say, one of the things that isn't calculated in it is the cost that we have to maintain the house throughout the year. You know, there's pest control, there's security systems. We had no security. We've had to do things to help ensure a safe space for employees, for our visitors, for our tourists, whomever comes in. So this current fiscal year, it's between $28,000 and $30,000 that we've spent on that, which is not being paid by the city, and it is the city's building. So yes, we agree that we have a great lease at $1. We do have to make sure we have donations and other funds coming in to cover the cost of the house. And that's maintenance. That's just daily maintenance.
I will, as you also know, the Touched by Angels has the building kind of on the other side of the fire department. We have they pay, I think maybe 1,700 a month in rent. That's going off the top of my head, so don't quote me on that. I would guess it's a smaller space, but we pay for the same sorts of things that we do to the actual building itself. If they want security or anything above what the lease agreement states, they're also responsible for that. I would assume that's common in commercial lease agreements, but again, I don't know that for a fact.
Yes. I mean, it's the tenant's responsibility to handle security and regular maintenance other than,
Well, in an old house, right? We're in a historic house.
Mhm.
We're not just in a building that we maintain those things. We have some special needs for that house. And that being the case, we're doing our very best, but that is a financial responsibility that we do have. And I only mention it to say, while we have a lease that if somebody hears you say you got a dollar lease, that's great. We actually do invest in that property regularly. I did go to Megan about the landscaping. That has worked out lovely. We have been very appreciative of that support. It was in the agreement that when I read that, I'm like, we need to be taking this opportunity to work together. It also enhances Graham. If you come into Graham and you see that big house and you see lovely flowers out there and you see the beautiful garden, we have many residents to come by and use that as well. It's a great space. And we think it's a huge attraction for Alamance County. But as you start thinking a little further beyond the immediate cost to what tourism could mean for this community, if we had more intentional work together with the city as a genuine partner, that could look different and that could impact your businesses, that could impact this community and generate revenue. I'm also very interested in helping our artists to launch their own businesses. We have a few art businesses downtown Graham, but there's a lot of folks out there who would love to have their own artwork. We do operate a small gift shop, but we only have a 30% commission on sold pieces. We're not making money off of that. We still have to inventory it. We're running it. It's a business. But it's taking a lot of pieces to pull together to be able to do what we do now in a community where we have much more potential if funding was available.
What are some of the expenses that you have besides security?
Oh, well, I mean, you have to, of course, have rodent control. We have heating issues that we continue to make sure are maintained. It's anything basically of the building, water, plumbing. I think what Megan referred to with the flooring, I think that was done before I came in, or it was being installed when I just first came into the position. So I don't know the background on that. But no, it's basically maintaining our systems. We also have to have communication systems. We also have to have things that are costing us internet. We had to expand our internet. We didn't have internet throughout the entire building. I mean, these are things over a couple years' time, but they add up.
Okay.
I would love to know where we go from here. If it is something that a vote can be taken to name us again as the designated art organization, which is really what my first ask is, so that we can move into these other areas with understanding and a greater sense of what the goals are for each of us and work together.
I find that your statement about what you want to take part in things that you host and have your name at the top, but yet you're not willing to participate or collaborate with our parks and recs with all the type of events where there's an opportunity where you're not hosting it, but you're participating and you would get the advertisement of being involved, where to have somebody come out, bring out, set up a tent, display stuff, because you're talking about visibility.
Yeah.
The best place to get visibility is at one of the Parks and Recs events.
With
whether it
all
be-
due respect, the beginning of my opening, I mentioned Esperanza Festival, Slice of Summer, Pumpkin Bash, which we have participated in for years. We are a part of those.
And that's stuff that Parks and Recs and organizations,
We work
encourage to have
together.
things, right?
Yeah, we work
So-
together. That they're not doing that in a silo, nor are we. It's a
But see,
partnership.
that's where I guess I'm confused. We're doing arts around the square. We've got money for that. And your organization doesn't want to participate.
Again, it depends on your capacity and your financial ability to maintain what you're already committed to. We are committed to, we're a countywide organization. We
And-
don't,
Yeah,
we
and see,
live,
that's the paradox. You're a countywide organization representing the county, and you're asking Graham, the city of Graham, the taxpayers of Graham, to help foot the bill for a county mission.
occupancy tax dollars are created by visitors and tourists, and they go through the hotel tax. That is not town of Graham people. That is dollars generated.
Use occupancy tax dollars.
I know the city of Mebane, I believe the city of Mebane expressed to Alamance Arts that they didn't believe it would be a lawful use of of occupancy tax dollars to allocate that to Alamance Arts. That was my
They
understanding.
checking on that?
We're in conversation with them. They have other opportunities for funding. I mentioned occupancy tax, but there's other opportunities for funding that they're looking at. For example, a large business coming in, there may be a tax opportunity there for them to have an incentive and give to the arts. That's a possibility. I'm not specifically saying occupancy tax, but what I'm saying is because we're in the situation where half of our money was cut from Alamance County, we're not a county agency, we're a
Well,
nonprofit.
if I may say, with all the new industries that have come to Alamance County, you should be approaching them to be donor sponsors of Alamance Art. Because they're always looking for tax write-offs,
Mm-hmm, agree.
I just find it disturbing that the first response of nonprofits, let's go to the city, the communities, and have the taxpayers support us, versus you've got, like I said, the way the tax codes are written, some of these corporations, like the company that produces the cookies, Bischoff, you've got major industries here who, they would gladly, I think, support Alamance Arts.
Well, I would just like to say there are other nonprofits who are also asking,
Well,
and we're, again, I'm asking that we open doors through a more formal partnership. We have and we are involved with all the activities I mentioned to you. This is
Yeah.
the first year we have not done the tree lighting because we had to make a financial decision.
Would you be doing it next year? Are you open to helping with arts around the square if there was funding approved?
If there is, again, it's about resources. If we can figure out the numbers with the resources and not lose ground with other commitments that are made in the community, there's opportunity, but we can't do something and be in the know, as my board is, that was a financial loss for this organization. I'm coming in after that's happened, but that's the feedback.
I just hope it wasn't presented to the board that we were asking them to do elements, the Arts Around the Square event. We had a budget set aside to do it, to ensure its success, and we were simply saying, here is an organization that is full of artisans and have access to a lot of artists, and we thought you would jump at the chance of being able to benefit financially from an event like that, because there's no possibility that you could lose money.
Well, I'll refer back to what there is possibility, and what I will tell you is that I'll refer back to what Megan read from 2023. We did not have artist support. We depend on serving artists and supporting artists, and we did not hear that. And we did do that work with due diligence. And that being said, we can't make a decision for other people we aren't assured are going to commit.
Have you been able to secure artisans for the event?
The applications are open, recently open, but, responses are coming in frequently.
Okay.
I hope they do. It's just, we did the preliminary search for that information. And if they were even interested in festivals and when. And that is not what we received. And I have people who are involved in leadership roles with our affiliate groups and other artists, and it may be a fit for some people. But we also have people who are not interested. And that was the overwhelming response we got.
It seems like the citizens are very interested in it. And I mean, it's an opportunity, a local opportunity for local artisans to be able to kind of highlight their trade and what they put forward. It just baffles me that the Arts Council would not jump all over this opportunity. Well, I mean, does any of the other council members have any comments, or I don't know, is this like an action item? Because I don't know that we really advertised an action item. I think it's just an ask, right?
Yep.
No action required. So you're requesting us to consider partnership, a designated partnership, whether occupancy tax can be used for donation. And I guess we need to get you to contact the league to find out whether that's true, or
Yeah, I think we should work with our legal department on that.
and then participate countywide with events. Is that right, for tourism?
That's an idea. There could be other ideas, but yes, if that is something that the city would be interested in helping to be a part of. I will say my request specifically says request for sustained financial, organizational, and operational support from funds available through the city of Graham. Occupancy tax is just one that's been put out there, and basically due to the fact that the county referred us to make that request to the city. And I don't know who knows what about that. I received a letter.
Well, I hate to hear that, you've lost that much funding. I mean, I personally support the arts in Alamance County. I will personally make a donation and make a, commitment to do so, but, I guess the board will need to consider your request, and then, I guess we can discuss it again at a future council meeting. But, I just hate that we can't see eye to eye on trying to support events that are specifically for the arts.
I can only share with you the information that was given to me. I didn't make this decision. It was brought to my executive board. You actually spoke with myself and our president at the time of the board. And that is the decision that was made.
Yeah.
I think that's, you know, that's their decision, but
Okay.
I think right now with we, the city, covering your maintenance, and your landscaping and the painting and such, no, it's not like we're committing taxpayer funds right there. But to underwrite your operating expenses and such, I don't think that's something we should be asking our taxpayers to, contribute to.
Well, then we may or may not be able to participate in all of the events that I currently mentioned to you because we have to make decisions. That is our capacity issue. And it does cost operational dollars to be there and to participate. And we love those events.
Well,
It is good for us.
I'm
Burlington
curious.
only gives you $10,000. If you just did $2,500 in rent times 12, that's over $30,000 right there. And I feel like we contribute way more than any other municipality does right now. I mean, that rent isn't free. I mean, it's not. And
No.
any place that any nonprofit is at would be paying rent. And I feel like we do. To say that we don't support is just not fair. I think that this board and the city of Graham supports Alamance Arts and has done so generationally since its existence. And
Well,
not just in the rent, but in the landscaping and the repairs. I mean, it's $25,000 already this year in the budget to make repairs to that home because it is a historic home.
Well,
I
it's-
challenge you to
yeah.
tell me another municipality. Elon's not doing that. Burlington's not doing that. Mebane's not doing that. And I just, we want to feel like, I mean, you participating in an event that's not apples to apples. That's not oranges to oranges. And we want Alamance Arts to participate in all of our events. And I mean, I personally feel that we're giving you, the city is giving you, a substantial chunk of your budget. But I personally would, commit to try to help you fundraise to get money. And I know, Bobby's mentioned in several businesses and stuff that have come to the area that, we might have good contacts with or whatever, but honestly, like coming to you and saying, hey, here's this project that for Arts Around the Square, which was this big opportunity for you to generate revenue for your organization. And the board didn't want to do it. And, I don't, it's like you're saying, here, give me the money, but I don't want to do anything for the money. And that like is not,
Well, I have not said we don't want to do anything. We want to work.
you just said to him that if you didn't get, then you're not
we'll have to make decisions as they come because we have a limited capacity of people, of resources, of funds. It's limited. We're not the size organization that can just take on a large responsibility and not think about those things.
Yeah, but using Arts Around the Square as an example, your only commitment would,
be to
I'm
jury
thinking,
the-
saying, we're asking, do you guys want to come and set up?
That was not the ask.
And
ask
what
was
was the
to-
ask?
to
of-
jury the,
How
to
And
jury
plan the
artist.
events and get involved with the selection of artists. Those were also included as part of the request. It was
Well-
a time commitment.
Well, the way that Emma is now soliciting the folks to participate is they've put it out there and and they've listed all the different crafts that they're hoping the folks
Mhm.
participate in. So you wouldn't have to select,
Mhm.
find artists to come to the event because they're doing that for you.
They weren't, that wasn't what
Well,
was
that's what's
discussed
happening now.
previously.
So that's previous, but now, so now what we're asking is, could you provide the judges?
We can certainly do things that are supportive of the event.
Okay.
But what I cannot commit to is the manpower, the staff time, and the volunteer time
To do what?
to do the things we were initially asked.
But now all we're asking is, if you just had to provide the judges, what else is involved? What does that
We would
cost?
be able to offer that, and request that,
So are you saying?
but,
put
but
out in
we
your-
don't have the capacity.
Can you put out in your newsletter that we're looking for artisans to participate in in Alamance, and the Arts Around the Square, festival, those sort of things, like.
We can put it on our arts and cultural calendar, which is on our website, and not in our newsletter. Those are very specific to Alamance Arts. But the things that can be done are on our website. It's open, and also Recreation and Parks folks know that. It is a site for anyone in the community that has an artistic event to be able to
If
post.
there's an event, you can't put it in the newsletter because you put things like the Christmas parade and things like that in the newsletter.
No, not unless Alamance Arts is directly involved. If we're directly involved, it would be a newsletter item.
Madam
But-
Mayor,
But even if you're trying to recruit people for scholarships that you aren't necessarily sponsoring, and you're looking for people from your community of artists, that's just, I don't understand why you can't say, hey, there's this event going on and they're looking for artists, and that's helping support your community.
I would just like to reiterate my point. We need to have a more formalized understanding between Alamance Arts and the city of Graham, so we can step forward and move together. And things like that are moving together. But as it is right now, we have nothing in writing other than a lease. And I'll go back to us being a designated arts organization for Graham. And that's the reason why we have nothing in writing that says we'll come out and be part of Slice of Summer. We have nothing. It's all been handshake over the years. We're trying to formulate a more structured partnership that works for both of us.
Madam Mayor, I think we should take this under advisement
Okay.
and let's move on.
Thank you so much for being here. We very
Well,
much
thank you.
support the arts. Appreciate you being here, and we will take it under advisement.
Thank you. We appreciate what the city does. Please don't hear anything different from that. We just need things more formalized. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Number 5, appointments, K-9 Review Board. I recognize City Manager Megan Garner. I believe this is going to be tabled.
Yeah, I would like to request that the city council table this until next month. There is one individual on here who previously served on the K-9 Review Board who has since moved out of Graham, so we would like to re-advertise to ensure. Thankfully, right now, we don't have a need for this board, but our code of ordinances does
Right.
say that we have to have it, so.
Okay. Can I hear a motion to table?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we table this
I
item.
hear a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Public comment period. Was there anybody that signed up in the back, sir? Okay. City staff comment? Oh, sorry. That's okay. Go ahead. You can come to the front. You have to state your name and your address, ma'am.
Thank you all. This is, in reference to a future proposal you might come down the pipeline. I'm Angela. I'm Dobbins of 203 Nick Street, which is part of your ETJ. It's our understanding on our street that there's a business and or commercial zoning action being requested. And, I wanted to let you know, I've come to speak only for myself, not for my community. I've not been elected to do such in that fashion. And I come with no animosity towards the process of zoning to your city or to the owners or future owners that are asking for a zoning on that land. Right now, we have 13 houses on our little street. It's quiet. And We have a playground in a church community center. We are enjoying a good quality of life that, I think county boards and cities all across the nation are trying to emulate. And I'm requesting that the city consider, and even Three Brothers property that are the owners, consider building only single-story, 1 or 2 single-story detached homes on this requested zoning property. Or even you all consider a firehouse or a police substation there. It is my wishes as a 10-year landowner there, that we keep the commercial and or business access on the main street, which that footprint right now is currently Vince Pros, or I think that's the name of it. It is perhaps my small mind, if we allow business and or commercial to move west.
I'm here to support you, Angela. I'm a little ignorant to the process too. I'm Brian Osley. I live on the same street with Angela. Angela, come on up. Since there's been 2 lots that's been cleared, I think they're owned by Three Brothers Construction. There's a zoning sign up. I thought maybe it would be on the agenda tonight for the rezoning. It's not, I don't think.
It's not, and I don't know if has been brought before the planning board yet.
Okay, that's what.
If that's where
I
you
think
wanna
we're here
start.
For information and to see what is being proposed.
Yeah,
Any-
if you can leave your, yeah, if you can leave your contact information, we can share where it is in the process with you
Okay,
and just make sure you're aware of when it's going to
You'll need
planning
to
board and where it goes from
Attend the
there.
planning board meeting and then whatever they recommend, then that comes here, and then you can attend this meeting as well.
okay,
It comes before us, but you have 2 chances.
okay. So we're still early in the process.
I
Or-
I
Right.
guess so, if it hadn't gone to planning board yet,
Okay.
they know more. We didn't know what you were talking about, honestly. I'm sorry.
Me
It
either.
hadn't come before us yet.
I thought it was me. I don't know either.
She was talking about Nick Street.
Yep, I'm sorry.
I'm not sure if she got that to you or not, but, there's like Three Brothers Construction. They've cleared a lot or 2 lots, 3
Two,
lots, whatever. And nobody seems to know what's going on. So we don't know if they're gonna put a
They
dumpster on
submit
it.
plans, Aaron.
I think they're going before a planning board to present, I think they're asking for a rezoning.
Right.
If I'm not
They are.
mistaken. And, I think that's basically all the information that we have. It's just a rezone application at this point.
Have you reached out to them to find out what their plans are?
I talked to the planning department and they said that,
Well, have you reached out to Three Brothers? I mean, I say go straight to the
well,
horse.
I did talk to one person up there and he told me that, the reason they cleared the lot was just to let it dry out, which, makes no sense at all. So they're
Dry
planning
out.
on doing something and the planning board would not tell me anything. All they told me was that Three Brothers plan to extend their footprint. What does that mean? I don't know.
And there is a rezoning sign on the property.
There is a
now
rezoning
That
sign.
appeared like a few days.
Do you know what they're asking for the rezoning?
I just brief conversations that I've had with, Cameron West, who's our planner. I want to say they're needing more space to expand something that they currently have out there now. I'm not familiar personally with,
Right.
their.
So it'd
setup
be
currently.
commercial, not residential?
Well, I think it's something to do with parking. That they want to be able to have more space with parking and the zoning. There's something.
Well, they probably wouldn't have a problem with parking.
He cleared an
I
awful
would-
lot
I
of
would-
land for a parking lot.
I would
Well,
prefer they
the-
talk to
like,
Cameron.
heavy
Yeah.
equipment,
Well, this
stuff
is
like
one of
that.
those, again, it is not,
Right.
we were unaware of it here on the council. And if anybody, the first step is the planning board.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're a realty company, right? Is that? what they are?
I think they're construction.
It build.
Cause yeah, I looked it up. It says Three Brothers Building / Three Brothers Realty.
So
Oh,
I came in, beforehand, because again, if that footprint of what they're requesting and Fence Pro on Main Street, that'll be about a 3 to 4 acre footprint. I'm not worried about right now what Three Brothers is doing. It's the potential that a huge conglomerate can come in, and that will be Sheets or a service station 2 years from now, because the potential is once we go from vacant lot or residential or not residential to commercial or business, it's done for on our corner of our property or our street. And children, we use the street as pedestrian. I mean, it's our sidewalk, it's our children. So anyway, I'm grateful y'all listening to us. Just have it on your radar for the future.
Yeah, it was shown on the February planning board agenda as a rezoning for Nick Street, but it shows withdrawn. So that indicates to me that it will not be heard by planning board in February, but at a later time. But we've got your contact information, so we'll share that to you.
I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you for
And
being
would
here.
it Be okay if we send you bullet points so you understand more of the human factor on our
Sure.
neighborhood and what us longtime residents enjoy.
Okay.
Oh, I would like to add one,
Thank you.
one thing. There's,
would you give your name and address?
Steve Schaffner, 219 Nick Street. I've been there since 50 years or more, so,
I'm older than
yeah.
Steve.
Anyway, I've been there a long time. so-
Yeah.
But, everybody on that street's on wells and septic tanks. And we don't need a whole lot of parking and diesels and diesel fuel going in the ground. Traffic on the road already is heavy since the school moved in. So every twice a day, we've got like a turnpike going through there.
Yeah.
And 35 miles per hour, they don't seem to know what that means. But anyway, that was my concern, was the wells and the septic tanks and the extra traffic on a road that already has cracks and sinkholes in it.
Okay, well, we will keep it on our radar.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for being
coming
here.
in.
Do I have any comments from city staff? Megan?
I have one.
Yes.
So we have been receiving, some complaints, or we've noticed some concerns out at the lake. And, if it's okay with council and by consensus of council, we would like staff to get with our attorneys to, look at it and review our late penalties and come back with some amendment that would address maybe some stronger language. We had dealt with this issue in the past, but I think we're needing to probably revisit it with, some.
Is this using
Struggle.
herbicide or something?
Well, I think it's, combination of that, clearing in space that is city, control, doing things in areas that, folks shouldn't be. So in doing that, we would like to come back with maybe some language that council to consider with an amendment to our code of ordinances. If I have consensus of council.
You got my consent.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I guess I'd want to know what it is that they're doing.
There's honestly a variety of activity occurring out there. I mean, obviously, the Grand Mebane Lake is our water source and is protected or should be protected as such. We have all sorts of different types of activity, cutting down the buffer or the vegetation that is on city property. We have people making, like their own racetrack out there and using it for those types of purposes, perhaps herbicides, pesticides, things that could have a potential impact on our water source.
Plus the buffer, we have to maintain a certain buffer level, and that's been compromised in several areas as well.
I agree that they shouldn't be using the herbicides, but I think some people worry about snakes and things like that, and that's why they try to keep the grass cut down or the overgrowth or whatever. Hmm? I know, I'm just saying. Okay. And then, city council would like to consider going to a closed session in terms of North Carolina General Statutes 143-318-11A3 to consult with the attorney employed or retained by the public body to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body. The closed session is for two separate legal matters, one of which is Cone Commercial versus City of Graham, 23 CVS 1909. And do I need to read this?
Are we skipping council comments?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have a comment?
I just had one ask.
I didn't hear from anybody, so I thought,
I'm
sorry.
sorry. I just had one ask. I took a picture of this stop sign right there by the police department in our own parking lot. It's like almost completely white. For the love of God, can we get that replaced? That thing is just
We'll be glad
ridiculous.
to.
Right. You know which one I'm talking about, right? Or do I
Right
need
at
to
the
send you
speed
the?
bump.
Yeah, right at the speed bump and you come in and you get this big white sign there. You can barely read the word stop on it.
Yeah, we'll be
Kind
glad
of
to take care of it.
embarrassing since it's like right in our own parking lot.
Bobby, did you have anything? Did you have anything? Okay. Y'all are trying to, we're
I'm
trying to
sorry.
we're trying to get.
I understand. Please proceed.
I want you to be happy. So I'd like to recuse myself from the first legal matter. I'm sorry.
I move to allow Mayor Talley to recuse herself from the first legal matter.
I need a motion in a second, I guess. Sorry, go ahead.
Do I
A
have a second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We'll go into closed session on the first item and after we in that session, we'll call Mayor Talley in for a last part.
You're excused.
That's the way it was
Going on,
explained to me.
I'm over here like la la land.
You're excused. It would be.
because of the Biden administration.
Yeah, take them out. A week and late.
Can't you say that anybody under 18 can't check them out without a parent's consent? How can you do that with video games and you can't do that with books?
Because they're written, children ages, whatever.
And Mayor, I make a motion that we come back into, open session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. In the matter of the first legal matter, I make a motion to release to the public, the survey of the property made for property located between 103 North Main Street and 109 North Main Street. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And what was the motion? I didn't hear.
The motion is to release to the public the survey of the property made for property located between 103 North Main Street and 109 North Main Street.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I make a motion that we allow Mayor, Jennifer to come back in to, unrecuse herself.
Okay.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. In the second legal matter, in the matter of consent order in the Cone Commercial Real Estate Investments LLC versus the City of Graham, case number 23 CVS 1909, Alamance County Clerk's Office. I make a motion to release Cone Commercial Real Estate Investments LLC from any restriction on use of the property owned by Martin Properties ACNC LLC as a result of the consent order entered by the Superior Court granting the special use permit for said property. I further direct and authorize the city attorneys to cause a joint motion along with Cone Commercial Real Estate Investments LLC to be filed with the said court and take all the necessary actions to set aside and otherwise vacate the consent order entered in this case, as the same is now moot and unnecessary.
Second your motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
To adjourn.
I
Is there a
second.
Second?
I
All in
second.
favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.